And here we are. Hello, my sweet titillations. It's me, the one and only Mama Tits. Out of makeup today. Yes, she's a lazy cow. Let the comments begin. Welcome back to the Tits and Tea podcast. And look who's next to me here today.
Hey.
James with a J is back. Yes, she is. How was your trip to Slutland?
It was great. It's always nice to have a little fun weekend away.
I love that. I'm so glad that you had a good time. I love it when everybody lives their truth and does all their happiness and goes. Come on, we need to be sluts more.
You only live once.
You only live once. I'm having an audio issue on my end, and I think it's probably my headphones.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Yep, it's the cable on my headphones. Get that replaced. But I'm super excited. Are you excited for today?
It's going to be a great episode.
I'm super excited because normally we do all the news and we do all the crazy stuff and we go over all the politics and everything. And I was like, I want to shake it up. And I like this. I like this project. I like what we're doing here. I like we're having fun with it. I like that I get into drag sometimes. We've got drag queens. We've got people. Next week, we have an HIV and infectious disease doctor coming on. So we're going to talk about sexual health and how to be a good, healthy, ethical slut and all that fun stuff. But this week, I called a good friend of mine who is just an icon, an amazing artist himself. And I was like, you know what? Let's change it up. Let's change up this episode and let's give all the time to this man. So for those of you who didn't see the announcements or anything, we are bringing on a legend that has dressed every celebrity you could ever have imagined. Anybody that is anybody, he has dressed them. He is the mastermind behind some of the most iconic looks that you've seen. Hell, there's an entire wing in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame dedicated to his designs. So I am super excited to bring this stage. You may not know this person, but you know their work. He is your favorite designer's favorite designer, your favorite celebrity's favorite designer, your favorite celebrity's designer's favorite designer. Welcome to the show, the one, the only, Mr. Michael Schmidt. Hello, Michael.
Hi, babes.
Hey there.
How are you?
How are you, kids?
Good. I'm excited to see you. I love you're all in a lovely little schmata. Is it cold where you are?
Well, it's hot as hell outside, but I'm at my parents' house in Kansas City at the moment, and they keep the house freezing, so I'm a little
I know that.
trying to find a balance. But yeah. But I'm naked from the waist down, so it's all good. So
so am I, because why not?
Right.
That's for the paid stream after.
Right.
So Michael, I'm so excited. So for those who don't know you, first of all, how long have you been in the industry?
Well, around about 40 years, really. I mean, I started working with entertainers in the mid 80s. I was quite young. I was 22, and I had just moved to New York City. I went to see from Kansas City, from where I'm at now. And I went to see a very famous concert of Diana Ross in Central Park.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she did this crazy concert that was really, really, it's still quite legendary. And
Isn't that the one that it rained?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it really changed my life. And it set me on this trajectory that I'm on now. Because what happened was she came out and it was a beautiful sunny day and she was doing a live free show in Central Park. And there was hundreds of thousands of people there. And it was very festive. It was really, an excited crowd. Everybody was really thrilled. And it was beautiful blue sky. And about 20 minutes in, the wind started picking up and then the clouds rolled in. And within a half an hour, it was pouring. It was jet black and it was pouring rain. And and she was very good about it. And it was really insane because, she was standing there in her like Issey Miyake bodysuit and her Bob Mackie bodysuits with, her hair's flying and everything. And I always equate it to, in Fantasia, which we all remember from when we were
Ooh,
kids.
okay.
And Mickey
Yeah.
Mouse is the wizard, and he's standing on the edge of the ocean
Okay.
and on the rocks, and he's commanding the elements, and
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
skies and the ocean goes this way and that way. That's exactly what it was like. And she was so remarkable because she was terrified that people were going, if she were to leave the stage, because first the mayor came out and told her, you've got to get off the stage, because they were worried she was going to get electrocuted. She said, I'm not going anywhere, because she knew that if she did, people would stampede for the exits. And so she said, she told the crowd, she said, listen to me, I'm not going anywhere. You know, we're going to get wet. It's fine. But I want you to all start moving towards the exits. I'll come back and do this show tomorrow, but I need you to be peaceful, and I need you to be kind to one another, and I need you to, you know, she controlled the situation.
That is a professional.
It was unbelievable. But you know, there's still hundreds of thousands of people there. And so she wouldn't leave. Then the governor came out and told her, you've got to get off the stage. And she said, I'm not going anywhere. And she stayed until the crowd dispersed. And it really taught me something about how remarkable and how powerful a woman on stage, who knows how to command a stage, can really affect lives. And it really taught me a great deal about the power of performance and the power of mostly, you know, that iconic feminine energy, because a man would never have done that. A man would have gotten off stage as soon as he was told to. He wouldn't even needed to be told to. You know what I mean?
The winds would have picked up and he'd have been like, I'm out.
Exactly, out. You know, but no, she stood there because she's, you know, she cares deeply for her audience, and she knew what the circumstances could be if she was to turn tail and run. So it was a remarkable thing, and it changed my life, because as soon as that was done, I thought, God, this is really, I need to be somehow involved in this. This is how I want the trajectory of my life to go, because I'd always been a fan of bands, mostly female. You know, I was a big fan of, like, you know, Cher growing up, Debbie Harry, all the punk rock girls, you know, all the Susie.
So you're 22 and you're going to this concert. What were you doing in your life at this time? At 22 years old, what was Michael Schmidt doing?
Nothing. I flew in from Kansas City.
Okay.
I'd just gotten out of hair school. I learned to do hair. And, but I didn't want to do that. And I just really wanted to see this concert. So I saved up enough money. I called a girlfriend from high school who'd moved to New York to model. And I said, can I come stay with you for a few days? So I went and I stayed to see this concert. Well, I just couldn't leave New York. I fell so in love with the city. Ended up staying in New York. And I needed a job. So I would go around and find, like, things on Canal Street that I could make jewelry out of.
Okay.
And so I started making little bits of jewelry, and I would sell them at Patricia Fields. And it was, you know, this is 83, 84, right?
Okay.
So very early, mid 80s. And then from there, I just started developing a fascination with chainmail.
Okay. Because that's what you really became known for.
Yeah. It was very strange, because I was working at a store called Manic Panic. Which, you know, is where the hair
I remember the Manic
from.
Panic store in New York.
Yeah, it was on St. Mark's, and that was my first job there. And I worked for Tish and Snooki, and I was holding down the fort one day, and a girl came in, and she was wearing a chainmail headband around her forehead.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
And I looked at that, and I thought, it was like a jolt of electricity went through me. Like, I recognized it instantly, and I immediately knew how to do it. It was like I'd been doing it my whole life. It was like, if you really do believe in past lives, that's what that was. But anyway, I immediately went out and got myself a pair of pliers and some rings, and I started making things. And I started with jewelry. Okay. And then eventually I made a dress, and an all hand-linked chainmail dress. And I had a girlfriend who worked, my friend Jessica, she worked in a store in Soho, and she said, oh, I think my boss would love this dress. I'm sure she'd love to put it in the window. Can we do that? And I said, well, of course, you know, very, very luxurious store called Diane B.
Yeah.
And there the thing was in the window, and one day Cher walked by.
Of
And
course, as one does.
as she does.
In New
And
York.
she went in and she asked them who made the dress. She'd like to have some things made, and they wouldn't tell her because they wanted her to have to go through them, to have
sure.
anything made.
So already they're gatekeeping your art.
Right. Which I can understand that, but still, I mean, you got to remember, at this point, I'm 23 years old. I grew up on Cher. She taught me and everyone else of us how glamorous a woman could be. She was everything to me, everything to me. And so Cher walked out of the store. She said, okay, fine. So she walked out, and Jessica, God bless her soul, ran after her and slipped her my number.
Awesome.
And that changed the course of my life so radically, because Cher had my number, and then we didn't have cell phones then. I was living in a squat,
Yeah.
And so I get a call, and we had beepers back then, which a lot of young people don't know what beepers are. But anyway, so I got a beep on my beeper, and it was a phone number I didn't know. Went down to the payphone, called it. And the woman answered, and she said, I said, hi, my name is Michael. I just got a call from this number. And she said, oh, hi, my name is Deb. I'm Cher's assistant. She would very much like to meet you. And meanwhile, I'm a little high goth, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Black
love it.
hair, white face, white lips, black eyes, all of it, dressed fully all in black. And I'm an OG. I'm an original goth. So, so I went over to her house, and we fell so madly in love that day. So
cute.
hard. We sat there for 3 hours, just seriously falling deeper and deeper in love.
I mean,
A
how
love that
does
lasts to this day.
how does that feel though?
It was insane. I mean, it was
So,
truly insane, because
They always say never meet your idols, but you
that's
literally did.
I did, and it was the greatest experience of my life, because she basically kind of adopted me that day. She took me under her wing, and I started making things for her, and I met Chastity that day. I met, and it was still, it was like very, very just familial and very friendly, and the whole family was there, and it was just wonderful. And they were so sweet to me. And then after we had started making things together, she started giving my things away as gifts to John Bon Jovi and Tina Turner and all these other artists. And that's how I started working with other entertainers. So
amazing.
It just kind of ballooned from there, but I owe it all to her.
So your entire career hangs off of Cher's cheekbones.
Exactly. I mean, you could never plan it. You could never, there was never any way for me to break into the industry. I always had wanted to, I used to look at Grace Jones and think, God, who makes her clothes? She has the coolest clothes. I want to be that person one day. You know what I mean? But how do you do that?
And now aren't you?
Yeah. Now I'm that guy. But,
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing is every time I turn around and I look at things and it's no, Michael made that. Nope. And that. And that. And it all started from you creating this chain. You see chainmail in a Manic Panic store, and you're like, oh, this, you create one piece, it gets in a window, Cher sees it, boom, your life is changed.
It's too crazy. It really is.
6 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
Well, and now it's and you and Cher are still very good friends.
Very, very tight. Yeah. I just saw her recently. In fact, she posed for me for some photographs with my new, I've taken up photography again.
I love this.
She's always been super, super, very, as I said, super supportive. And she just, when we get together, her assistant who runs her life, who keeps the train running on time, just hates it when we're together, because we just cackle for 45 minutes, an hour. And it's just talking about, we've known each other for 40 years.
Well, so
it's really nuts.
And every time you start coming in around, the assistant's like, shit, there goes the rest of the day.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, and so it starts with Cher, and then it kind of continue. You start doing jewelry and everything. So when did it really click? Like, what was the moment that you became the secret weapon? Like, how did this build?
It really started when it was a funny thing. I had moved. I was doing clothing for Bon Jovi during this
Okay.
time, mid to late 80s. And John at that time was the biggest male rock star in the world.
Correct.
Yeah.
And he had been asked many times by these Japanese people to if he would be interested in doing a Bon Jovi line of clothing, which had never been done before. You know, now it's quite common, but back then it was unheard of. And he always said no, it sounded like a stupid idea. And then when he met me and we started working together, he went back to them and he said, okay, I'll do this thing if you get this kid to design it.
I love it.
At that point, I'm like 24, 25. And
Jesus.
so it was really great. I designed a whole line of Bon Jovi clothing, and it was men's and women's, and it was like acid wash jeans and chainmail and the tatters of the jeans.
So it's
and
your fault that we all did acid wash jeans.
basically, yeah. Well, what happened was, and I went to Japan, and I met with the team and everything. We did the whole thing, and then John wanted me to be in LA because that's where the thing was going to be produced out of.
Yeah.
So he moved me to Los Angeles, and this is around 88.
Okay.
And this is the very height of the glam rock
Yeah.
time, right? So this is not only Bon Jovi, but Guns N' Roses and Aerosmith and Skid Row and all those bands. And I was, because they're all largely managed by the same core group of people, I started doing all of those bands. So I was in the thick of all of that, you know, and I was doing the glam rock bands for a really long time. And it was so much fun. It was such a fun time.
Well, that must have been insane to
LA.
be 25 years old and designing for all
and
of
touring
the
with Aerosmith and like all of
what?
it. It was,
okay.
It was nuts. Yeah.
So we're gonna have to stop right there. I need to know what is the craziest thing that ever happened on tour with Aerosmith. Like, I gotta know, because I know Bon Jovi was probably a riot and a half.
He was okay, but he was pretty conservative.
Yeah.
Steven Tyler was anything but conservative, you know. And I was quite in love with Steven, and he knew it, and he used to sort of toy with me because I mean, all these boys, I was in love with them all. Sebastian Bach, madly in love. Iggy.
Well, you're 25 years old, running around with all these super celebrity rockers, and you're beyond the velvet rope where all the groupies want to be. Like, James, what were you saying?
How accepting were they?
They were wonderful.
These rockers of you as a gay man.
They were wonderful.
That's
they didn't
awesome.
give a shit. I mean, you got to remember, this is also the height of the glam rock when everybody was toying with femininity and, you know, and I had
bisexuality was taboo and fun.
And I was quite beautiful when I was that age. I was very, very androgynous. And so I had my pick of the litter, you know what I mean?
Nice.
So it was a fun time. But then all of a sudden, you know, through into the 90s, 91 comes along,
Grunge.
and Nevermind comes out with, Nirvana comes out with Nevermind in 1991, and the whole thing just stopped. It was over, you know. Grunge became the theme of the day, and glam rock was done. And I mean, it really was literally overnight. It was remarkable. I've never seen anything like it.
That's insane.
And so I was
before we're moving on, you still haven't said the wildest thing that ever happened while you were on tour with Aerosmith. I'm not letting you go.
Well, I mean, literally everything was wild. You know, it was just like, I mean, it was like, and you become so inured to it, and you just, but they were really cool and very, very sweet. They were not like trashing hotels and anything like that, you know, because I didn't tolerate that kind of energy around me. I was only interested in being around the people that were, you know, still somewhat professional and could keep their shit together, you know? I wasn't interested in babysitting these boys. You know?
And I love that you're thinking this at 25 years old. I'm not interested in babysitting these boys.
Yeah, I was. And you know, and so it was, but it was, and during that time, I was also doing a lot of the divas. I was doing Tina, a lot, And
So you're just bouncing around.
Yeah, because all of the photographers were in Los Angeles. And
Right.
so all of the great photographers, because the light is in Los Angeles. So they all the great photographers moved to LA because the lighting is the best there, the natural light. And
Okay.
so Herb Ritz was there, Matthew Ralston was there, Greg Gorman was there. And so whenever they needed something special for a shoot, they would call me up. Like, for example, Herb Ritz was shooting Tina for an album called Foreign Affair. And he needed her to wear something like sparkly. He said, I really need her. She doesn't want to wear anything like that anymore. But I really need her in just one thing that's really, kapow moment, And so I said to her, because I'd been working with her for a while, and I said, look, Herb wants me to make you a dress, and you're not going to like it. And I know you don't want it, but he's begging me to make this dress. And I'm going to make this dress because he wants me to do it. And she says, I've worn those dresses so many times in my life. I'm so over it. I don't need to ever do that again. I never need to wear like a little tiny little sparkly dress ever in my life again. I totally understand that, right? Yeah. So I go off, I make the dress. It's a crystal, Swarovski crystal beads, all linked together with little metal pins and vibrant red. And finally I bring it to her and I said, okay, look, I have the dress. I'm going to show it to you. I'd like it if you could try it on. And she's just grumbling the whole time. She's like, this is the last thing I want to do. And
I love Tina Turner's throwing a temper tantrum because she doesn't want to wear a dress.
No, she was so cool, but she just was like over it,
Yeah.
And she tried it on and she said, oh, this is actually kind of great, and she got really into it. And that became her shot a very, very famous photograph of her in it. And where she's posing like this, with her hands over her head. And I was there when it was shot, and it turned out to be the centerfold of her album, And she later on, she signed there was a poster made of it, and she signed it for me. And she said, "For Michael, because a great body deserves a great dress."
I
which
love
I treasure.
Now,
that's amazing.
I have to take this opportunity. I don't think I'll ever get it again. What was Herb Ritz like?
Herb Ritz was very, very sweet. He was very kind. He was almost shy in a way. He was very respectful of other artists, and I really, really adored him. I shot with him many times, and we shot Cher together. We shot a lot of things. And I always tried, there was always a million people running around in the studio, and I would try. Cher was there, and he wanted her to like dance and move and sing. And I felt bad for her because she was having to dance and move and sing all on her own, and everybody in the room was just standing there looking at. So I'm in the background trying to like keep her energy up, and so we had that kind of a rapport. I have one great story when we were shooting Tina that day. Tina was in makeup, and Cher called me for something. And I said, you're not going to believe where I'm at. I'm at Herb's, and we're shooting with Tina today. And I said, do you want to say hi? And she said, no, just tell her I said, hey, you funky bitch.
What did Tina say?
She loved it. She cackled. They loved each other. They couldn't have been closer. They loved each other so much.
So you started creating all of these things for everybody, and then at one point you're living with Debbie Harry.
That came later, because what happened was after Nevermind came out, my career was essentially, for all intents and purposes, over,
Really?
And so, I could have stayed there and done a lot of the girls, but, I was like, I don't know. I felt like I needed to go back to New York. So I went back to New York, and I was there for all the 90s. And I didn't really have a job. So I started a nightclub. And that's when Squeezebox was born,
which is the infamous Squeezebox. That is queer New York City nightlife, iconic history.
Yeah.
Squeezebox is where it all. That's. I mean, in my mind, the way I look at it is that's kind of the gay CBGBs.
Yes, very much so.
Okay.
You know, yeah.
John Waters still in his act says Squeezebox was the greatest club in New York City history. Which, you know, I'll take.
So how did it come about? How did you go to be like, okay, I was designing for all the best, doing all the things, then grunge came and fucked it all up.
Yeah.
And made it boring, and you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. I need to go back and get inspired. You go to New York and now you're owning a club. Like, how does that come about?
Well, I was looking around for something to do, and my ex-boyfriend, Patrick, was managing a bar called Don Hill's. And Don Hill was a very renowned music guy. You know, he managed a lot of bands. He had clubs. He had another club called the Cat Club, which was a big rock club. And so he had this other club called Don Hill's, and they wanted to start a gay night there. And they asked me if I would, Patrick asked me if I would promote it. And I said no, because it sounded like a lot of work and I'd never done it before. And it just sounded like, one more thing that, you know, I've got to think about. But then I started talking to a bunch of my friends and because we'd always complained that we all loved rock and roll and punk and stuff, but there were no, like the straight clubs, we weren't really welcome there, you know? And there certainly was no other gay club, but really after that crowd. And so I said, well, maybe this is the opportunity to do the club we always complain doesn't exist, because it had a stage and it had a back line. You know, it had all the musical instruments and everything already there. And so the reason I wanted to do it was I said, I will only do it if we can do live music, because I don't want to see drag queens lip syncing, you know. I wanted to see them. I knew they could sing, and they were never given an opportunity to sing, you know, especially with a live band. So we put together a house band, and it came together pretty organically. I found an amazing hostess, Mistress Formica, and my friend Guy was the DJ, Miss Guy, and it just snowballed into all this insanity, you know?
Yeah, like watch your feet, kids, because the names that are being dropped are this is. And if anybody has ever, if you don't know who Mistress Formica is, one, get an education. Two, a great way to really get in touch with a lot of the queer nightlife, the people is Wigstock, that documentary. You know, that Lady Bunny did. That was kind of my Bible when I was growing up. That's what drew me to New York City. That's what made me want to work at Tiffany's on West 4th Street and be a part of all of it. And, you know, and that's how I met Sandra Bernhard. That's, you know, Madonna was coming in and having dinner at our restaurant, because the only 24-hour diner in the area. And we catered towards the late night freaks. And, you know, and I'm running around in late 90s at Twilo and Tunnel as 18 years old back in the day. You know, and doing all that. And here you are, you know, that you've created the quintessential club that then goes on to basically define nightlife for I would say for the next generation in New York City, and just kind of be, because then you had Limelight, you had you had the Twilo and Tunnel, and you had so many of the different places. You had the you had Escolita. You had Escolita. You had, you know, there's so many different places, but your club was like the heartbeat that really kind of drove everything.
For the alternative gay scene, it certainly was that.
So how did it? I mean, and I know Hedwig began there.
Hedwig started there. A lot of amazing things. Anthony and the Johnsons played their first show there. Toilet Boys came out of there. But Hedwig was really an interesting story, because Stephen Trask, who wrote Hedwig with John Mitchell, Stephen Trask was my musical director. He put the band together, and he directed the band every week, because every week the band had to learn like 10 new songs
for the queens for the weekend,
for the queens to sing. And so it was laborious job, and so
Oh.
Stephen had that really, he did a great job with that. And then one day he came to me after the club had been going for a while, maybe a year, and he said, listen, I've got this friend who he and I have been kind of playing around. He's an actor, and his name is John, and he wants to workshop this idea. And he told me the idea, and of a trans, the whole story. And I said, I don't think that's a good idea. I said no a couple times, and I said, because this is not a club for an actor to come in and play a drag queen. This is a club for and by drag queens. This is their life. This is their lifestyle. I was very, very protective. And I didn't want some actor to just come in and think, he could just, take over the stage and workshop an idea, And so I really put the brakes on it for a while. But Stephen just kept at me. And I said, okay, fine. You can do it on such and such a night, but just know that, if the crowd really hates it, there's nothing I can do about it, and he's on his own. So, so John showed up, and they had all the songs worked out, and the whole narrative was there. He told the story, and the songs were there. They did all of the classic Hedwig songs. They only did 3 or 4 songs, but I mean, they were still, it was not workshopped into a whole theater production by any means. It was just an idea that was in his head. So, and lo and behold, the crowd loved it, fell in love with Hedwig immediately, as of course they would, because the show itself was spectacular. But it was very much in place. I had no way of knowing how thought through it was until they got on the stage and I saw it myself. So after that, I was like totally on board, of course.
Nice.
So they would come and do shows every few months and workshop it further. And then eventually it went to the James Street Hotel, and
ironically, I was living at the James Street Hotel.
I lived there too when I first moved to New York.
So did RuPaul. She lived up in the top.
She lived in the roof when I lived there. Yeah. I used to sit in the window and watch. It looked out over the East River, and I used to sit and watch them troll for dead bodies. It was like that.
Yeah, no, it was like that. You walk out and it was hookers and Johns, and there was like one street light per block that worked at that point. The dilapidated dock across the West Side Highway was there, and which was just nothing at the time. It was just sticks sticking out of the water. And I remember there was a heat pipe that was along the outside wall of the building, and I was in one of the small rooms up on, I think, floor 6 or something like that, 5 or 6, and there were people that lived there. There were pod people in these these rooms. These rooms were the size of a queen size bed's footprint or a king size bed footprint, and there was a twin size bed on one side. The door was a half door; it would open in, and then there was a TV and just a bookshelf in the corner, and there was a heat pipe along the wall, and that was your heat. And I swear to God, you would touch that thing in the middle of the night with your feet, jump like crazy. The beds were the same as they were on the Titanic. It was wild. Well, I went outside one day, and I met John.
Oh.
Had no idea it was John.
Wow.
They were redoing the club that was attached to the Jane.
Yeah.
And they were getting it ready to premiere this new show. They were just bringing it over from Squeezebox at the time. Wow. And I'm there and I'm talking to John. John's outside and kind of overseeing. And I was like, what's going on? I'm just this young 18-year-old faggot running around New York City, just like, trying to figure it out. And he's just like, yeah, I wrote the show, and we're just, people seem to like it, and we're taking it to the next level. And we hope it goes. And I'm just like, I had no idea. There was a line around the block the next day, like everything. I never saw the show, had no idea until years later when I'm actually working with John in Provincetown, and I hear the story and everything, and it all clicked, and it was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm there at the same time. It's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah. It was a very fun time in New York. And at the club, it was a very special thing. But a lot of really amazing things came out of that club. And I would call up my friends who I had made clothes for and see if they wanted to come down and sing with the Queens, and that's kind of
Yeah.
how it started to really become legendary because, it'd be like Debbie Harry or Joan Jett or,
Crazy.
um, Mark Almond or Boy George or whoever, um, come and perform with the Queens. And so you never knew what was going to happen there. And
That's so
I,
iconic.
I didn't allow the press in. So there was no page 6 or anything like that. And so nobody was worried about what they did getting into the papers the next day. It was it wasn't exclusive. There was no VIP room or anything like that then. But I mean,
Makes it
it
better.
was still very, I was very protective about the crowd and stuff. So, but yeah, it was a really, really fun, and it went on for about 7 years actually.
Okay.
And every designer came there, every model came there, the people that you can't even imagine. One night I turned and I bumped into somebody and I said, "Excuse me," and I looked and it was John Kennedy Jr. I mean,
Wow.
like it
It's
was like
your own
there's
version of
Goldie
like a
Hawn,
grungy
there's
Studio
Verushka.
54. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was
Yeah.
really crazy.
I love
Yeah,
that.
it was really, really, really fun. And we had great bands. I mean, I brought over Lena Lovitch from England. I brought over like a lot of the most killer bands that you could possibly see, and they would open for the Queens.
Okay.
I made sure that they understood. And sometimes I got hassles and
Sure.
and I threw them out, but
I love
because yeah,
And the
no,
funny
I
thing
made
is,
sure that
I never got into your club because I wasn't old enough, so I wasn't.
yeah.
And there was a few clubs you could get into in New York in the time, but there
Yeah.
were other places that they had the door. The door diva was not
having it.
Did not play, and it was like
One night I was standing at the front door with Don Hill, and we're just chatting, and I see out of the corner of my eye Kate Moss getting out of a cab, and she's got this young guy with her, and I know that it's her cousin who's like 16. And I said, "Okay, Don, you're not going to like this, but I need you to let these next 2 people in." Because I really because Kate had never been there before.
Totally.
And so I wanted her to kind of check it out because I knew that she would drag everybody else in New York in,
Yeah.
but Don wouldn't do it. He was like,
Nope.
no way. No,
because you
pissed off.
could have lost everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what I was kind of curious about. On the flip side, what was it like being a business owner in the middle of New York City at that time? Would you do it again? Was it?
Would I have a club again? You mean?
Sure. Let's start there.
I don't think so. I mean, first of all, it is an enormous amount of work. But the thing about Squeezebox was that hard work doesn't faze me. Is that when we did that club, we were the last. My generation is the very last generation to know privacy. I came of age when cell phones. Like I had the very first cell phone. I remember it. All of those things. I remember that developing, and now no one has any privacy anymore.
Yeah.
And so you can't do a club like that without
I have to say,
in that environment.
And I'm so grateful that I was able to experience New York in the 90s. I mean, we were at Club Life, and I think it was RuPaul's birthday, and Kevin Aviance is playing in the other room, and it's like, this is unreal. Lady Bunny's here and all this stuff, and Life was one of the places I could actually get into.
Yeah,
because if you got into drag or whatever, some you could slip through. Some of the places would let you in. But so you've done all of this fashion. All this jewelry, all this stuff with celebrities. You've now created one of the most iconic nightclubs in queer alternative New York history. Now you are doing Met Gala, you're doing Oscars, you're back in the fashion game.
That came later. Yeah.
So how did that all transition? How did you transition back into that? Like, so what happened? What ended the club, and then where did you go from there, and how did it come back to fashion?
the club kind of started petering out towards the end of the 90s. Things had changed. The club
New York
scene had
changed.
changed. All the rock and roll clubs were at that point much more welcoming of gay people, so gay people had more options.
Yeah.
Squeezebox was very good about breaking down those barriers, because I was very adamant about having, we were very pro straight people,
Okay.
even though they weren't pro us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mostly
Yeah.
because we wanted to sleep with the straight guys.
Oh,
And we did. And we
Right.
did. But, I had fabulous girl go-go dancers. I had go-go dancers in their 80s. I had go-go dancers of every body type and weight and color and everything.
I love
mean,
that.
it was male, female, everything in between. It was really, it was very egalitarian in its approach to being sexy,
I love that.
And so it had an impact on all the other clubs in New York, because when the crowd started to find out that that's what they could have, they started demanding it of everywhere,
Sure.
So, and that's fine, but then, after about 7 years, I was tired anyway,
Over it.
Yeah.
And by that time I was really looking to do something again with my hands, which I hadn't done in a decade. So
Okay.
this was around 2000. And friends in LA said, "Oh, come back out to LA and knock around the idea of starting up again." So I came out and stayed with some friends, and I didn't have any way. You don't just start up a studio like mine,
Yeah, no.
But Cher came to my rescue yet again. She said, "You know what you should do? I want you to meet these friends of mine, Richard and Lori Stark. They have this company called Chrome Hearts."
Okay.
And Chrome Hearts, previous story, when I was doing Aerosmith, I was doing a leather suit for Joe Perry.
Okay.
And I had a fitting with Joe, and he loved the leather suit and everything. And we were going to finish it. I went off to finish it. And before I left the fitting, he said, "Oh, dude, you got to check this out. I just got these leathers." And he opens his suitcase and he pulls out these leathers with sterling silver zippers and buttons and buckles and
Ooh.
all. And they were the most beautiful leather pants I've ever seen in my life. And he pulls out jackets and all this stuff and said, "You know what, Joe? I can't finish this suit for you. This I can't approach this. I'm not set up for this. I could never approach this quality. This is what you need to be wearing. This is Joe Perry caliber leather. Mine is not." And
Okay.
so, and I never really did leather again after that, only very, very sporadically, but I could never approach that quality. Years later, Cher says, she introduced me to Richard and Lori. And so I started, by that time I was obsessed with Chrome Hearts, and they really ruled LA, and they were a high-end luxury rock and roll line of goods. And they did
Okay.
everything. They did and it's a $1 billion company now. But anyway, so I would take their little silver bits and make them into jewelry. And I started with one bracelet that sold a ton. And then I went off and did just all these other kinds of jewelry. And so I've designed for them for 25 years.
Wow.
The last thing I did was an 8-foot by 5-foot sterling silver American flag made up of 14,000 individual crosses that are linked together and finished. They're plated in the black and white stripes, and the stars are all paved in white diamonds. I mean,
Wow.
it's epic. It took us
How do you
4
still
years.
have eyes?
I know, it's
Right.
nuts. It took us 4 years to do, but
Wow.
that was an insane project. It's hanging in the New York store. But anyway, Chrome Hearts got me settled financially where I could start up
Okay.
again. And then I just started doing stuff again, just little bits. And I hired a seamstress, and we would do things, and just kind of you ease back into it. I had the luxury of having already been there and knowing some people and saying,
Mhm.
"Hey, I'm back. I'm going to do stuff if you want to do something." So, and then it just kind of grew, and I found a studio downtown, and I found an incredible team, and and we just started making, my thing is to make things that no one's ever seen before.
Yeah.
I don't work seasonally. Like, I don't do a collection of things. I don't work that way. I make one-offs for people who have an audience, a built-in audience, and so
like the Gaga bubble dress, like the chandelier, like
yeah,
like these iconic pieces that you're like, who comes up with these ideas? Who came, like, and
the Gaga one was funny because that was a total fluke. David LaChapelle was shooting her, and I've known David for a million years from New York.
Brilliant photographer.
He called me and he said, "I'm going to shoot this girl Gaga, Lady Gaga," and none of us really knew who she was. And she has this album coming out, a song called Paparazzi, and I need something for her to wear. So I said, okay, I want to make, because it's paparazzi, I'm thinking film. So I said, I want to make her a woven dress made out of 8mm porn films.
Ooh,
and so I made her this corseted dress that was woven films, and then it trailed down into this massive train and everything. So anyway, I make this dress, show up the day of the shoot, and David's like, "You're not going to believe this. You're going to kill me, but the set for that dress is not complete. We can't shoot that dress." And I was so upset because I worked so hard on that dress.
Yeah.
And he said, "But I do have this other thing." And he had this room, this pink room with all these bubbles painted on the walls. And he said, I have this other room, but I have nothing for her to wear for it. And I said, okay, well, give me 15 minutes. So I ran around the studio and I found these little
you did not do
globes.
This in 15 minutes.
And
you're
I
a bitch.
Girl.
What?
It was nuts. I know. And so I took these little half spheres, these clear plastic spheres, these bubbles, and I drilled out little holes in them, and I tied them together.
Oh my God.
I created this whole thing that could be draped over her body, and I scotch taped it to her body. And that ended up being the cover of Rolling Stone.
Oh my God.
I mean, it was nuts. It was nuts.
Did the film dress ever see the light of day though?
Never.
Oh. Where is it? Where is it?
I don't even know. It's probably in my studio somewhere. I don't know.
Oh my God.
But
I'm coming. When I come to the studio, I'm going to go. We need to go search.
We're going to find it. Okay.
We need to find it. But now, go ahead, James. You have a question?
Well, yeah, I have one more question before we run out of time. What's it like working with the Queen of Pop?
Which one?
Was the chainmail dress in the Fever video the first time you worked with Madonna?
Yes, that was the first time I ever worked with Madonna. That I was very young. That was 95.
A little disclaimer. Madonna is James's Cher.
Is that right? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she really kind of annoyed me because she I'm a young person. I don't have any money, and I had a couple of dresses and they wanted to borrow a dress for this Fever video. And I said, okay, of course I wanted to put my dress on Madonna. Well, that day they painted her entire body silver and she wore this dress throughout the whole thing. And when I got the dress back, it was just completely covered in silver body paint and it was useless to me. And I was really pissed off. I was really upset. And I ended up donating it to Joan Rivers for an AIDS, to raise money for AIDS.
I love that.
As an auction piece. Because it was, it wasn't usable for me anymore. I wish in some ways I still had it because it's, it is what it is. But I mean, I'm glad that it went to, a good cause, of course. So
how many tours have you done of hers now?
Like five, I think.
Yeah,
five
you did,
or 4 or 5.
Sticky and Sweet. You did the football.
Jersey. Did a few things for that.
And then you did the guitar strap, and more for Rebel Heart, right?
Did that, yeah. Did a bunch of stuff for MDMA. I'm terrible. I can't remember.
Yeah. It's
the things I can't remember. Is
she fun to work with?
No.
I
You
would
know.
not expect anything less. I have my own Madonna story. It actually is it's a 1 degree Madonna story. It's kind of like
Yeah.
through you. I was doing a film it's called Heartbreaks Open, and I did it years ago. And one of our cinematographers is actually an Oscar award-winning cinematographer, and he had done a lot of stuff in Western Asia and in Iraq and in Iran, and doing stuff back. And it was during her Kabbalah time and her she had her castle in London or in England or whatever and everything. And he went over to her. She wanted to buy some footage or use some footage, and he goes over to her house, and they bring him into the great room, and he's waiting there. She's 2 hours late to the meeting in her own home. And then somebody comes to the top of the stairs, opens the door, and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, Madonna." And he's the only person in the room.
Oh my goodness.
So I would never expect her to be just like hunky-dory. Like, I wouldn't expect her to be as pally as like Cher. I would not expect that.
Yeah.
No, she's not. She's all business, you know. She really.
But look at her.
But that being said, I mean, she, more than anyone I've ever worked with, she really knows what she's doing. I mean, she plans out her tour. It's a 3-arc narrative. It's a 3-act arc.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, again, I've done several tours with her, and some of the things really frustrated her that I made for her because they were very unwieldy, very heavy. I did this thing for her for MDNA, I think. I did a number of things for that tour, but there was one look that she wanted it to, she would give me these abstract ideas. So she said one of the looks was Shaolin monks meets Joan of Arc.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do with that? You know what I mean? Like, what? I mean,
Well,
and so
you did brilliantly.
we
is what
came
you
up with
did.
a thing, you know, but it was
the
so
whole
heavy.
armor piece,
But it was very, very heavy, and she hated me for that. She let me know that in front of the entire team, and I said, "You asked for it, lady." You know, I mean, like, don't blame me. You know, it's like I told you this before. I said this is going to be really heavy. She's like, "I can handle it." I'm like, "Okay."
So, oh my God, Michael, I have to do this though, because we are gonna run over, so we're gonna have to wrap this up. But I want to ask you, first of all, will you come back and do another one of these with us?
Please.
I'd be delighted. We're just getting started.
This is really great, and I know the people who are watching are having a great time. I want to do a couple questions for you though, real quick answers. What is your favorite material to work with besides metal?
There's a material that Swarovski makes. It's called crystal mesh. And it's a metal mesh fabric, but it has a crystal on every little facet of it, and so it's the most blinding fabric and you have to work with it with an ice pick. And it's also the most expensive material in the world, but it's glorious, and I love it. I work with that a lot.
I love
sounds
that.
like that should be the next Marilyn Monroe birthday dress,
right?
What is a look you've made that you would absolutely never do again?
Probably. Well, there's some things that I wouldn't do again because they shouldn't be reproduced, like Dita's 3D printed dress. I mean, other dresses that we've done, we have replicated. Like I've made like 6 chandelier dresses.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You know, there are some things, and I have a couple things that I have yet to do that I would very, very much like to do. I just have to find the right person and who's got the right wallet, because they would be extremely expensive. But you know,
I'll take my hat out of that. I'm taking my name out of that hat. As soon as you were like, "I'm looking for the right person," I'm like, "Me," and then you're like, "What's the right wallet?" My hand went away. You know? Well, and you also are working on some new stuff, and so the next time we have you on, I want to talk about the new stuff you're doing with the gay sheep and this the new stuff that you were talking to me about with how you're meeting Swarovski. Well, and Swarovski crystal meets knitwear. I want to see all the different things. Oh no, did we just lose you? Are we losing everybody?
I'm still here.
Oh no, everybody's here. Okay, good.
Yeah. Okay, good.
I think I'm having a Mexico internet moment.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure. You know that.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. This means the world to me that you were able to be a part of this. These stories are ever, and I will never forget the fact that the Lady Gaga bubble dress was 15 minutes made out of scraps around
On
David
the spot.
LaChapelle's studio. Like
Is that nuts?
that's incredible. Michael, you inspire me each and every day. Thank you.
Thank you, babe.
I'm so proud to
Thank you
call
so
you a
much.
friend. And thanks for being a part of this.
Of course, of course. Congratulations. I adore you. And
Mwah.
we'll pick it up later. We'll pick it up again.
Oh, yeah. We'll talk. I'm going to get you back on here sooner rather than later. I'll give you
Sounds
a call
great.
after this. Much love, my dear. Have fun at your parents' house, and we'll talk to
Thanks,
you soon.
babe. Okay. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye. Oh, my goodness.
That was a hoot.
Oh, my goodness. I cannot wait to have Michael back again.
I could just keep going and going on that.
Well, that's the thing. Like, if you ever see us together, whenever Michael comes here and visits in PV and we get together, we usually go and have a dinner or something, and we will sit and talk for hours and hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
And we get into debates, and we have another mutual friend, Lynn, and we go out, and we've had Patrick out with us at dinners and gotten into our conversations. We all get crazy, and we've scared the muggles. It's hilarious. But so next, this was one hell of an episode, and I'm super grateful for everything.
Yeah.
Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you guys had a great time. Let us know what you want to hear more about next time. Next week, we are going to have on Dr. Dan. He is out of San Francisco area, and he is an HIV and infectious disease doctor, also a very good friend of mine, and also James with a J. And we're going to talk about something a little different and fun, and the rest of the whole gamut and the spectrum of things, all safely and fun and naughty and all that fun stuff. So
I'll be a hoot.
yeah. So thank you everybody for joining us, and thanks for being a part of the Tits and Tea podcast. We will see you next week. Remember, we are live every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on the Mama Tits page. Once we hit 1,000 followers on our Instagram page, we will be live there. We're also on our YouTube channel, and here within the next couple hours of this broadcast, we will have them up on every single platform you can download your podcast. So follow us there. You can even subscribe to us on our Buzzsprout page and help create this product. So thank you all for being a part of it. We'll see you next time. Thanks for being at the Tits and Tea podcast. We'll see you next time. Bye, James with a J.
Bye, girl.
We'll see you soon. Bye.